And what about Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie? It's unlikely that they'll be celebrating with their parents as well.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. They are basically still in the throes of this sort of terrible scandal. And what's happened is that the king has made it clear, look, he doesn't want them to be tarnished. They might have this Yuletide U-turn, if you like. They won't have the Sandringham snub that Andrew's going to get. And I think they could very well be welcomed into the fold.
The British royal family is facing what some are calling their most fractured Christmas in decades. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, once inseparable from their parents, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, are reportedly making choices this holiday season that reveal just how deep the divisions within the House of Windsor have become. What's really happening behind palace walls? And why are two daughters potentially choosing the institution over their own mother and father? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about royal loyalty. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. To understand what's happening this Christmas, we need to go back to where this all began. For years, Prince Andrew has been a figure of controversy within the royal family. His association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein cast a long shadow over the monarchy, and his disastrous BBC interview in November 2019 only made matters worse. But the royal family, as they often do, weathered that storm with strategic silence and careful distance. Andrew stepped back from public duties, lost his military affiliations and patronages, and effectively disappeared from the public eye. The arrangement seemed to work. He kept his titles, he kept royal lodge, and life continued in a quieter, more controlled manner. Then came December 2024, and everything changed again. A Chinese spy scandal exploded into headlines, and Prince Andrew found himself at the center of yet another international controversy. A businessman named Yang Tangbo, who had cultivated close ties with Andrew, was revealed to be a suspected Chinese spy. The revelations were damning. This wasn't ancient history or allegations from decades past. This was current, this was active, and this was a national security concern. According to reports from multiple British news outlets, including The Times and The Telegraph, the Chinese businessman had been banned from entering the United Kingdom on national security grounds. Yet Andrew had maintained contact with him for years, reportedly even inviting him to his birthday party and allowing him access to royal events. The timing could not have been worse for Andrew. Just as the dust seemed to be settling from previous controversies, here was fresh scandal, fresh embarrassment, and fresh questions about his judgment. Senior royals were reportedly furious. King Charles, who has spent his reign trying to modernize and streamline the monarchy, was said to be particularly frustrated. This wasn't just about Andrew anymore. This was about the reputation of the crown itself, about national security implications, and about whether the royal family could continue to shield one of its own from consequences. Christmas 2024 came and went, with a notable absence. Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were not at Sandringham for the traditional royal Christmas celebrations. This wasn't entirely surprising given the circumstances, but what did raise eyebrows was where their daughters chose to be. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, according to multiple reports, spent the holiday season with their husbands' families. Eugenie was with her husband Jack Brooksbank's family, while Beatrice had initially planned to be in Italy, but reportedly ended up attending Sandringham after receiving medical advice not to travel. The sisters were not with their parents during what must have been one of the most difficult Christmases Andrew and Sarah have faced. At the time, this seemed like a practical decision. After all, married couples often rotate holidays between families, and both princesses have young children and in-laws to consider. But then October 2025 arrived and the situation escalated dramatically. On October 21, 2025, Virginia Giuffre published her memoir titled Nobody's Girl. The book detailed her allegations and experiences, bringing renewed attention to Andrew's past associations and the settlement he had reached with Geoffrey years earlier. The memoir reignited public scrutiny and put the royal family back in an impossible position. Just 9 days later, on October 30th, 2025, the hammer fell. In a move that shocked royal watchers, Prince Andrew was formally stripped of his remaining titles. He would no longer be known as His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Instead, he became simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. This was unprecedented in modern royal history. The last time something of this magnitude happened was with Edward VIII during the abdication crisis nearly 90 years ago. The message from Buckingham Palace was clear and unambiguous. Andrew had crossed a line from which there was no return. But the consequences didn't stop with titles. Andrew was also formally ordered to vacate Royal Lodge, the 30-room mansion in Windsor Great Park that he has called home for years. According to reports from the Daily Mail and The Sun, he has been given a deadline of January 31st, 2026 to leave the property. Sarah Ferguson, who has lived with Andrew despite their divorce decades ago, is reportedly making separate arrangements and will be moving out as well. The eviction represents not just a loss of residence, but a symbolic severing of Andrew's position within the royal establishment. Royal Lodge isn't just a house. It's a statement of status, of belonging, of being part of the inner circle. Losing it means losing that connection. Now we arrive at the present moment, at Christmas 2025, and the question that royal experts and commentators are talking about. Where will Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie spend the holidays, and what does their choice reveal about the state of the family? Royal biographer Andrew Lowney, author of Entitled, The Rise and Fall of the House of York, has offered his perspective in interviews with Cosmopolitan UK and other outlets. According to Lowney, the relationship between the sisters and their parents is described as tense, though it's important to note this characterization comes from his expert analysis rather than confirmed statements from the family themselves. Lowney suggests that Beatrice and Eugenie may choose to attend the Sandringham celebrations with the wider royal family rather than spend Christmas with their now disgraced father and mother. His reasoning is pragmatic and, some might say, coldly calculated. The princesses, he argues, know where their interests lie. Their identities, their public profiles, and their business ventures are all predicated on their royal status. Beatrice works in technology and finance, while Eugenie has built a career in the art world. Both benefit enormously from their royal connections, their titles, and their association with the monarchy. To maintain those benefits, Lowney suggests, they need to stay in good standing with the institution, even if that means creating distance from their parents. It's a brutal assessment, and one that raises uncomfortable questions about family loyalty versus institutional survival. Are Beatrice and Eugenie really prepared to choose the crown over their own mother and father? Or is this simply a matter of practical scheduling, with the sisters rotating holiday commitments as many married adults do? The truth, as is often the case with royal matters, lies somewhere in between. What we do know is that last year, Eugenie chose to spend Christmas with her husband's family, establishing a pattern that may well continue. We also know that Beatrice's plans have been fluid, influenced by practical considerations, including medical advice about travel during pregnancy.
But the speculation persists, fueled by the unprecedented nature of Andrew's fall from grace and the very public nature of his disgrace. Royal expert Richard Fitzwilliams, speaking to various media outlets, has emphasized that the situation puts Beatrice and Eugenie in an impossible position. These are women who love their father, but who also understand the gravity of what has happened. They are mothers themselves now, thinking about their own children's futures and the legacy they will inherit. They are also working professionals who have carefully cultivated their own identities, separate from, but still connected to, the royal family. The question of Christmas plans might seem trivial on the surface, but it's actually deeply symbolic. Christmas at Sandringham is the most important family gathering in the royal calendar. It's where allegiances are demonstrated, where the hierarchy is reinforced, and where the future of the family is quite literally on display as they walk to church on Christmas morning. For Beatrice and Eugenie to attend Sandringham without their parents would send an unmistakable message. It would signal that they are choosing to align themselves with King Charles, Prince William, and the future of the monarchy rather than standing by their father in his exile. Conversely, if they skip Sandringham altogether and spend Christmas quietly with their own families or even with their parents, that too sends a message. It would suggest they are prioritizing their nuclear families and perhaps maintaining a more neutral position in what has become an increasingly bitter family divide. According to Lowney, there's also the very real possibility that the sisters may have already made commitments to their in-laws, removing the drama from the equation entirely. Sometimes, he suggests, a Christmas plan is just a Christmas plan, not a grand statement of loyalty or betrayal. What makes this situation particularly poignant is the relationship Sarah Ferguson has maintained with her daughters. By all accounts, Sarah is an involved and loving mother and grandmother. She's been photographed with her daughters and grandchildren regularly, and both Beatrice and Eugenie have spoken warmly about their mother in interviews over the years. Sarah herself has been remarkably dignified throughout Andrew's various scandals, standing by him in private while carefully maintaining her own separate public identity. She's carved out a successful career as an author and philanthropist, and she's been open about her own health struggles, including a breast cancer diagnosis that she's bravely discussed publicly. For Sarah to now face Christmas, potentially alone with Andrew, both of them essentially cast out from the family she was born into through marriage, must be devastating. She didn't commit the actions that brought disgrace. She didn't make the choices that led to this exile. Yet she shares in the consequences simply by virtue of her continued relationship with Andrew and her status as his ex-wife and the mother of his children. Royal commentators have noted that Sarah's situation highlights one of the cruelest aspects of royal life. Association can be as damning as action, and proximity to scandal can destroy a reputation just as effectively as causing the scandal oneself. The broader context here cannot be ignored. King Charles has been explicit about his vision for a slimmed-down monarchy. He wants fewer working royals, less extravagance, and a more modern, relatable institution. This vision necessarily means primming branches of the family tree, reducing the number of people who can claim royal privilege and taxpayer-funded support. Andrew's disgrace has provided Charles with the perfect opportunity to demonstrate this new approach. By removing Andrew's titles and evicting him from Royal Lodge, Charles is showing that no one is above consequences, that the institution matters more than any individual, and that the monarchy is willing to make hard choices to protect its future. But this modernization comes at a human cost. Families are being divided. Children are being forced to choose between parents and institution. And the very public nature of these divisions means that every decision, every holiday plan, every photograph becomes fodder for speculation and analysis. Beatrice and Eugenie are not just deciding where to spend Christmas, they are navigating a minefield of competing loyalties, public perception, and personal conscience. It's worth noting that neither Beatrice nor Eugenie have made any public statements about their father's situation or their holiday plans. They have maintained a dignified silence, which is entirely appropriate, but which also leaves room for speculation and rumor to fill the void. Royal sources, speaking anonymously to various outlets, have suggested that the sisters are deeply torn. They love their father, these sources claim, but they also recognize that his actions have consequences. They want to support their mother, but they also want to protect their own families and futures. It's an impossible situation with no good options. As we approach Christmas 2025, the question remains unanswered. Will Beatrice and Eugenie walk to church at Sandringham with King Charles and the rest of the royal family? Will they spend the day quietly with their own husbands and children? Or will they, perhaps, make the difficult choice to stand with their parents in their exile, sending a message that family loyalty trumps institutional politics? We don't know yet, and perhaps we won't know until Christmas morning when the photographs emerge or don't emerge from Sandringham. What we do know is that this Christmas will be unlike any other for the York family. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, stripped of his titles and facing eviction from his home, will spend the holiday in circumstances he likely never imagined. Sarah Ferguson, ever the survivor, will navigate this latest challenge with the grace she's shown through decades of public scrutiny. And Beatrice and Eugenie will make whatever choice they believe is right for their families, knowing that whatever they decide will be analyzed, criticized, and used as evidence in the ongoing debate about the future of the monarchy. The story of the York family this Christmas is ultimately a story about the price of privilege and the weight of legacy. It's about what happens when personal choices collide with public expectations, when family loyalty conflicts with institutional survival, and when the past refuses to stay buried. As we watch this drama unfold, we're not just observing royal intrigue, we're witnessing a fundamental question being answered in real time. In the modern monarchy, what matters more, blood or crown, family or institution, love or duty? For Beatrice and Eugenie, this Christmas may force them to finally choose.